Hardly got time to sit down. You have a Bible, turn to Mark 8. There's an English poet by the name of Alexander Pope who wrote a number of poems and stories, but he's really famous for one particular line. It says, "A little knowledge or learning is a dangerous thing." Now, of course, that has to be interpreted. So the interpretation is this, that a small amount of knowledge can mislead people into thinking they are more expert than they really are. So Mark 8, starting at verse 22. "And they came into Bethesda, and they brought to him a blind man, and beseeched him to touch him. And he took hold of the blind man by the hand, and brought him out of the village. And when he had spit on his eyes, and laid his hands upon him, he asked him, 'Do you see?' And he looked up and said, 'I see men, for behold them as trees walking.' Then again he laid his hands upon his eyes, and he looked steadfastly, and was restored, and saw all things clearly. And he sent him away to his home, saying, 'Do not even enter into the village.'" If you look at the story, there's a number of things. First of all, someone took the blind man to Jesus. He didn't come by himself. Someone took him there. And many people come to Jesus because someone is willing to take them. Take them. And then Jesus led him by the hand outside of the village. Now, this was a blind man. He probably didn't go outside a village very much. He probably didn't travel very much. So this would be foreign territory to him. Many people are led into a place they're not used to being, but they have to be willing to go. And this man was. So Jesus took him by the hand and led him outside the village, and then he spit in his eye. Now, spittle in the eye is not recognized as a treatment for eye disease. Litigation lawyers would love it, and public health would be frowned upon. But that's what Jesus did. And the blind man apparently did nothing except open his eyes and saw men as trees walking. Then Jesus touched him a second time, and he saw clearly. Now, if you had a vision problem and went to an optometrist today, and he gave you glasses that made you see men as trees walking, I'm sure you'd go back and get them adjusted, or complain, or do something until you could see properly. And this man did that because he actually said, "I don't see well." So Jesus touched him a second time. But the idea of this is the fact that this is a metaphor or an allegory in this instance, because we often talk of the eyes of our heart, our understanding of Christ. Many people are touched by God in some way. They're either healed, or they're given something. They have some kind of a knowledge. They have some kind of an introduction to Him. They're touched. But they don't go any further than that. They're touched once, and they don't take it to any other extreme. And they don't see things clearly as a result of it. So then they wonder why things happen to them, why things happen to the world, to themselves, to events. If there's a good God, why does these things happen? But they don't fully understand, because they don't go back often enough to get the second And the third, touchings.
Yes.
If you had visual eyes that weren't seeing well, you would do that. But the understanding of the heart is a little different. So it was a second touch that Christ gave this man that he saw clearly. And this is part of the problem, that people don't see clearly with their spiritual eye. Now he took this man out of the village and he said, do not go back into the village. This is sort of a mystery as to why he said this. But there's a clue from Matthew. Because it says in Matthew 11, it says, woe unto you, Bethesda! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. Bethesda apparently had seen miracles but had not responded. Did not have any real insight into what was going on, because they obviously didn't see things clearly. And as a result, Christ took his miracle outside of the city. The people were not going to see the major miracles. If they weren't going to respond to the small ones, they weren't going to see the major ones. I wonder how often that happens to us, because we don't see things clearly. We don't study enough. We don't read enough to know clearly what God is trying to tell us. It says in 1 Corinthians that we're never going to have everything down pat. We're never going to see everything fully. There are things we're not going to understand. We have to take in faith. But what we do have to understand, we should see clearly. And as a result, we don't. And that leaves us with the saying that a little knowledge is dangerous. See things fully. That's something to think about.